Every single piece of data in a company, every sale, every customer email, every line of code, it all has a story. A life, really. It gets created, it does its job, it retires, and eventually, it's supposed to disappear. But managing that whole story, well, that's one of the biggest, most complicated challenges businesses are facing right now. So today, let's pull back the curtain on the secret life of data.
Okay, so to really get our heads around this, we're going to break it down into four main parts. We'll kick things off with the new kinds of dangers data is up against. Then we'll look at the strategic rulebook for keeping it safe. After that, we'll follow data's entire journey from birth to deletion. And finally, we'll get into the really tough question. What do you keep and what do you get rid of?
All right, let's dive right in with the new digital risks. Before you can even think about solutions, you've got to understand the problem, right? And the truth is, the dangers that are out there in the digital world today are just way, way more complex than anything we've ever dealt with before.
Just think about it for a second. Back in the day, a threat meant someone had to physically get their hands on a ledger book with an actual pen. You could see the risk. But today, the threats are invisible. They're working around the clock 24/7, and they can come from halfway across the world or from right inside your own office. Your data's just always out there, always exposed. And what's kind of wild is how the very systems we build to be efficient can actually become our biggest vulnerabilities. Automation creates these brand new blind spots. An audit trail? Poof, it can vanish in an instant. The employee who enters the data might never see the final result, so a critical error could go completely unnoticed. And the scariest one? A single, tiny programming bug can instantly mess up thousands or even millions of transactions all at once. The system's greatest strength, its speed, suddenly becomes its most dangerous flaw. So, with all these invisible 24/7 threats, what do you do? How do you even begin to fight back? Well, it's not about just buying more fancy software. It's about having a plan. And that's where something called an IT governance framework comes in. Just think of it as the master rulebook, the grand strategy that directs how all data is handled across the entire organization. And here's the thing you absolutely have to get. IT governance is not just some tech department issue. Not at all. It's a core business strategy. It's about making sure the business goals and the IT plans are perfectly in sync. It's about making sure every penny spent on technology actually delivers the promised value. And it creates this constant loop of managing resources, spotting risks, and measuring performance to make sure the whole strategy is, actually working. Now, a governance framework is great, but it's just words on a page until you apply it to the real world. To use those rules right, you have to really understand the thing you're governing, the data itself. And every piece of data goes on this incredible journey, from the moment it's created to the moment it's destroyed. We call this its life cycle. This map right here basically shows us that whole journey. It's like we're looking at the biography of a piece of data, told in 7 chapters. So let's follow along, from the very beginning all the way to its final act. Chapter 1. Data capture. This is the moment of birth. A customer service rep is typing up notes from a phone call, or maybe the company buys a huge data set about consumer trends. Brand new information is born, and it enters the system. This is where it all begins. Next, we've got maintenance. Now, this isn't the most glamorous stage, but it is so, so important. It's kind of like a chef getting all their ingredients prepped before they start cooking. You're not making the final dish yet, but if you don't do this stage, cleaning up mistakes, getting everything in the same format, then everything that comes next is going to be a total mess. Okay, now we get to the magic, data synthesis. This is where you start connecting the dots, using the data you already have to create something totally new and valuable. A bank, for instance, isn't just recording transactions. It's analyzing thousands of them to build a model that can actually predict fraud before it happens. It's turning old facts into new insights. So the data's prepped, we've found some insights. Now it's time to put it to work. During the usage phase, this data is out there in the wild, driving day-to-day business decisions, managing inventory, you name it. But, and this is a big but, this is also where the most risk is. Every single move is guided by strict legal and regulatory rules, and one wrong step can lead to some really serious trouble. Sometimes data has to go out into the world. That's publication. This is any time data gets sent outside the company, whether that's a simple monthly statement mailed to a customer or a huge report filed with the government. Every single time data leaves, it carries a whole new set of responsibilities with it. And just like people, after a long, useful working life, data gets to retire.
It's not needed for daily operations anymore, so it gets moved out of the active systems and into a secure long-term archive. It's just kept there on the off chance it's needed again someday.
And then we've reached the final chapter, the end. Data purging. This means it's gone, for good, irreversible. But here's a question that keeps executives up at night. How do you prove something is gone? How can you be 100% sure that every single copy has been wiped from every server, every backup, everywhere? It's one of the toughest challenges out there.
And that whole challenge with that final step, purging, it leads us straight into one of the biggest headaches for any modern business. It's not just about how you delete data, it's about when. This is the incredibly delicate balancing act of keeping versus purging.
I mean, this quote just hits the nail on the head, doesn't it? It's a strategic tightrope walk. Lean too far one way by keeping everything, and you're drowning in storage costs and massive legal risks if there's a lawsuit. But lean too far the other way, and bam, you're not meeting legal minimums and could face huge fines. So how do you walk that tightrope without falling? The only way is with a formal record retention policy. And this isn't just a document, it's your shield. It's a system designed to protect you from the risk of keeping too much, while making sure you meet the legal requirements for things like tax records. But the real key isn't just having the policy, it's following it, consistently, no exceptions.
So we come full circle, right back to that story. Managing the life of your data is not an IT task. It's a fundamental business responsibility. Because in the secret life of data, knowing how the story ends is every bit as important as knowing how it all began.